unprecedented bottom of the 420th inning. So there's a crack in the bat. It's hit. He's running. He's rounding first. He's rounding second, completely ignoring third base. Oh, he's sliding head first into 69th base with Doug Mellard.
Welcome to 69th Base, the podcast where I make fun of idiotic sports takes. I'm your host, Doug Mellard. Thanks for joining. Got a really fun one. David Huntsberger is back. We have a really good time. We share an insane story of when we were younger and have too much fun talking about it. We also talk about the Battle of L.A., Lakers, Clippers, what happened, and what are the dumb sports takes that come with it. Plus, I have an update on the off-season quarterback carousel. I got a crazy theory on what I think is going to happen, and you guys are going to think I'm nuts. Plus, Huntsberger weighs in as a Niners fan on Jimmy G versus Brady for the Niners. And we take a look at a horrible impersonation by a sports analyst. We start a rumor and much more. All right, gang, let's jump into it. I'm going to bring on my guest. Please welcome back the one, the only David Huntsberger, everybody. What up, dude?
Hey, buddy. There, during the MySpace days, there was another David Huntsberger. I don't know if he's still around. But I know you probably remember the story that he was younger. He was like a teenager, very religious. And I had no friends on MySpace. And people would be like, add me as your friend. And I'd go, if you can get the only other David Huntsberger to be my friend, then I'll accept everyone's friend request. Until then, I'm an island. And so people would write to him, I think very rarely. And I would write to him every now and again, hey, man, only you know what it's like. Let's unite. It's just very silly, jocular things, if you will. And he wrote back, I am not to be trifled with. Leave me alone. And it was so heartbreaking.
Neither are you. God, you just launched into that story. It felt like you were mid-story. I was like, did I miss something? I don't remember.
He said the one, the only, which is just not true.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. I was like fucking with the chords. I was confused for a second. But it was just like... you just launched in. We were going over stories we might be able to share together from the old party days.
Yeah. Old youngster days, which we always kind of defend because if you're just going to work away your 20s, hopefully you have so much money that that's what people talk about and that's what you're excited about. But if you're not, you should at least have some fun stories to look back on. We have
quite a bit. And there's enough partying in there to where, it takes a while to get them coming back to you.
That's always the fear when you're doing it, like, this is so fun. I'm going to remember this forever. And then as you get older, you're like, all right, what's another thing that happened?
Yeah.
Out of that decade.
I have to when I was in Austin last week, 2 weeks ago. And I was like asking, now that I'm telling more stories on stage, it's good to just like go to other friends. Like, so what did we do back then? You've got some stories on me. And then they'll tell you this crazy story. And you're like, whoa, how did I forget that I tried to wrestle a cow or whatever? And it's like, how did that escape me?
Yeah.
Oh, all the booze in the world. Speaking of booze, so one thing we kind of settled on, and it's fun when we sit down together because these stories, your memory's a lot better than mine, but it's fun to put the little pieces of the puzzle together. But yeah, it was like a summer night, I believe. We were with our friends. Should we say their names or would they?
I don't think they would. Oh, maybe she might.
Yeah, just two friends, a male and a female. Daniel, Daniel definitely.
We'll call her CM.
CM, all right. And so CM and Daniel. Oh, remember that night I was not going to drink. Do you happen to remember? Yeah, I wasn't going to drink. I held out for hours. And then it just got to a point of like you guys were getting drunker and drunker and I was like, what am I doing? Because we'd probably drank for 3 weeks straight or something stupid.
We had a real fun club where the three of us were just like three amigos hanging out pretty much nonstop.
Yeah.
And then we would all meet up.
All linked in comedy.
So Daniel and CM and I worked at the club. He would like be a waiter. I would be like bar backing and running food out to tables and helping the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then she was, I think, waitressing at the time. And then we'd get done and then maybe have some drinks there. And then it was either after they closed or sometimes we'd leave early and like, we're getting out of here. And we'd go see a concert or something down in Austin, like the central area. And then other times it would be after things had all ended. we'd go back and somehow just always have a lot of booze around.
Yeah.
And then stay up until 5 or so, just hanging out in this little apartment, which I feel like is such a like an indie movie kind of thing to do. It's pointless, and yet so many great memories.
God, yeah. I mean, and we went, spoiler, but we went all night into the next day.
Oh yeah,
just
well
kept
into
going.
it. Yeah.
Do you remember how it all started? Like, I know my part where I refused to drink, and then eventually, and you guys were giving me shit, and then eventually I was just like, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to be sober around these guys while they're doing it?
remember.
And it was a rare time for me to not drink. You would take days off more than I would.
Yeah, and I like just drank beer and was a little more subdued. Everyone else I felt like drank much harder booze.
Yeah. No, that night we did it all.
I remember Daniel used to laugh at like we were at some point we were cheersing something that is the type of thing you don't normally, whether it was bottles of wine and like as if that was our personal drink.
Right.
Like, oh, cheers. It was consumption that was certainly unfit and not a healthy thing to do. So it's a little blurry as to what we were imbibing, but I don't remember you catching up, and yet that jogs a memory where you're like, guys, I got to speed up and get to where you guys are at.
Yeah. I don't know where the order is in all this. I don't know. I feel like there was some weird food involved at one point, some spoiled food or something that we all ate or were supposed to eat. I remember at one point, which one of us escaped to another apartment wearing a mask?
That was
me?
you.
That was. Oh, that's right. Yeah, before we started, you were like something about a gas mask.
If you're writing a scene about friends in their 20s in Austin when it was still kind of sleepy
Yeah.
and slow, that's a perfect kind of, what are we doing with our lives? I don't know, but this is fun.
Yeah.
I think we might have already like might have swum, or
See, I don't
potentially
remember
skinny
swimming,
dipped.
but I don't remember a lot of things. So.
We did it a number of times.
Yeah.
But then we would go back and have more drinks. And then at some point I remember I did the scouting where I was like, hey, is your neighbor upstairs okay? We didn't know her at all.
Oh,
Who lives above you? The
Yeah.
door is open. It's like
Yeah.
6 inches open. And then CM was like, oh, I know her a little bit, but not much. She's probably fine.
Right.
And then you were like, I don't know if you were like, it came from a good place of I'll go check, or if you're like, I'm just going to fuck with them.
Probably both.
So CM had this hat rack, had a bunch of, she's kind of a theater type person,
Yeah.
musical lover. So she had all this weird stuff like boas and different types of hats. And one was just this crazy World War I looking gas mask. And you put that on and went up there and then just stood. Maybe I had done it, but just at the door.
I think we both maybe took turns.
Yeah.
I still have this image of what it looked like inside, so I definitely did it.
You went in, yeah. I remember that was, and then you
God,
go,
what a horrible thing to do.
but she didn't even flinch.
Yeah.
She just woke up and was like, what are you up to? And then, and then next thing I
God.
know, like, and this is what a streak you were on with the ladies back then, is that the next thing we know, thinking like, well, soon we're going to hear the unmistakable screech of Doug as he gets mace sprayed in his eyes or stabbed or something, because he is wearing that mask. So the mace wouldn't do much. But the next thing that happened was you came downstairs and like, hey, look who wants to party with us.
Oh, man, I don't remember that at all.
And she came and she hung out and she was really fun.
What?
You don't remember that?
Don't remember this. I'm sure vaguely. It's weird how like it does sprinkle in a little bit. It's
She
like,
was
yeah.
hilarious because she was like real brassy and she's like, I'm not scared of you.
Wow,
And we're like,
yeah,
the door was
yeah.
open. That is not smart. And she's like, I'm not scared of people.
Yeah, we did shots maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like there were shots.
I think she brought down some
yeah,
vanilla
some horrible,
vodka.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She's
Whoa.
like, we're getting a little low on booze. She goes, I've got it. And came back with Malibu rum or something that was like
Yeah, something
very disgusting.
This is when it would be good to videotape the podcast, because if you could see, you would have been able to see the memories flooding back and me being like, oh, good
Yeah.
God. Wow.
She told this story. I don't know if this was during when she was there and we were all laughing about it, or if this was CM after. Like, oh, that chick's really tough. She was like hooking up with a guy on a potentially like a one night stand type thing, and she was like, make sure you use a condom. He goes, yeah, I'm using a condom. And then he pretended to put one on but didn't.
Oof.
And then when she looked down and saw, she like kicked him really hard and like threw him out of her house.
Way to go.
Yeah, like a real tough guy. And so I remember her being there, just the perfect amount of time. She was starting to kind of dominate all and her energy was very lively, whereas we were like, well, we're kind of a little more laid back.
Yeah, I
than this.
remember. Yeah, she was a little domineering or something. And I guess that makes sense with her seeing a gas mask and like, whatever, bring it, bitch. I'll fucking kick you out of here too. God, there were countless hours though. What happened for the whole? I remember a couple huge things, but what's the gap in between?
No idea.
Probably, I think we watched some bad movie at some point.
We would spend a lot of times. I mean, that's the beauty. Like, you know how children, when they're nonverbal,
Yeah.
are just soaking in a lot of stuff. And
Right.
they're learning language, and they're being exposed to language in
Yeah.
a way where you don't really know. It's not like you walk around with all the books you read in your head, but you kind of do. They sort of form you as time goes on. The same thing happens with those drunken nights where you spend so much time deliberating the nuances of different filmmakers
Yeah.
or musicians or an entire album, or no, that song's not the best song. Are you crazy? And then you debate that for 30 minutes and then at the end go, who cares?
Yeah.
Somehow that's a part of you. Somehow that's imprinted on you where going forward, you're like, I don't know why I have thoughts on this, but I listened to an entire dissertation about the soft bulletin or something like that. And I remember it was just a lot of those kind of conversations. It wasn't like we were constantly doing stuff that night.
Yeah,
It was just
yeah.
kind of hanging out.
We watched some film. I don't know what it was. I feel like I remember video games being played. That all seems pretty normal. You and Daniel had a contest at one point. I don't know if you want to speak on that.
We did?
Yeah, where I wanted nothing to do with it. Do you remember?
No.
It's so weird that I don't. I can say it. We can edit it out if you want to edit. So this will probably pick up where I asked, "Is this going to be edited out?" So I'll cut somewhere right before then.
Yes, let's not bring up any story that could be damaging to me, Doug.
Ah, man, you guys really missed it. On another episode next week, I'll tell you all about it. So we can't talk about that.
Maybe we'll let it ride. Who knows?
But
it is a really funny thing to do. And weird that you don't remember any of the night, but that was part of it.
Because it was insane. Why would anyone want to be a part of that?
But like the fact that you feel left out.
No, I did not feel left out. No, I'm saying you guys wouldn't let me be a part of it because I was like, no, I don't want to be a part of it. So you're like, well, go over, like don't be in the room. And I'm like, okay, good. Like I didn't. We were all filthy and gross and weird and drunk, and we were very drunk that night.
Yeah.
So moving past this thing that will or will not be released, but it's hard to tease that with the amount of laughter and me saying, that was insane, and then just move on. But other little chunks I remember. See, it skips way to where, like, it got to where it was like the sun's coming up.
Yeah.
We went, we were getting tired. So I think we were like, well, we'll get re-energized if we get more. We ran out of booze, I think.
Yeah.
But it was like 5-something. I think booze starts selling in Texas at like 7 a.m. So we're just like powering through, like, we just got to stay up till 7 and we can go get more booze. Why would you want to fucking just keep marathoning if you're clearly just waiting to pass out?
There's a vague memory of us kind of taking shifts and little power naps, like on the bed.
Yeah,
like only one person at a time could
yeah.
go in and like just rest up a bit if you need it. But and you'd have to like, I don't know if this is that, but I feel somewhat confident that it was like, all right, when we wake you up, you can't be like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's the agreement. And you'd be like, no, I just need a power nap. Okay, go
Wow.
ahead.
Man.
This seems, because I remember laying on the bed, and then when I woke up, it did feel like I'd slept for 10 hours. It felt like
Yeah.
it was 2 weeks later, and they were like, that was about 15 minutes. And all I needed. I feel
And
great.
it's so weird because there wasn't an objective until way later.
Well, at some point, and I think we might have gotten online as like the carrot is to get tickets to
prior
Wedding
that,
Crashers.
we did go and we got the booze somewhere. I think we ended up at my place for a second for some reason.
It was the morning when we went to your brother's.
Yes. So then we look up Wedding Crashers was out. So that dates this. That's kind of cool.
That might have been what we did that night, though, to give us the carrot to stay up for. We got the earliest showing, tickets for 4.
Is it like noon or something? 11 or
Yeah,
noon?
it was not early. It
Yeah,
wasn't like a
yeah,
9 a.m.
yeah.
showing. But we stayed up until then somehow. What idiots. And,
So, yeah, we got, and so then, I mean, we have drank this whole night and today. like we got right when booze started to sell at 7 or 8 a.m. We got more booze, kept drinking, and then we had that target of like, all right, 11 noon. We just have to make it to Wedding Crashers. We were so excited to see that for some reason. And then we called my brother, who's not like a maniac like we are, but really fun guy. And we tell him, like, we've been drinking all night and we're going to see Wedding Crashers. And I think he was just so intrigued by the idea that, like, you're going to do what? And you've been what? Like, I think he just wanted to see the train wreck in person. So we showed up at his house. We did shots. I remember
he had them lined up and ready.
Oh, yeah. He had them lined up for us, which great sport, I got to say. Because not everybody would just welcome that into their house.
And you're telling the story as if it was like, hey, man, guess what we've been up to? I remember the phone calls being like, we're coming over. Have some shots ready. And then him, Jason being like, wait, what? You're coming? It's 7 a.m. And then he was not only ready, he like took shots with us. I think he definitely went, because we were like a parade that came in the door, went around the table, took shots with him. I feel like Andrea was there too.
Yeah. But she didn't want to go.
I don't think and he didn't want to go either.
Yeah, but he did go.
He came with us?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, he drove us?
Yeah, he drove us. And you were doing a great Dave Chappelle impression the whole ride there. Between falling asleep, you fall asleep, talk like Dave Chappelle, wake up, go back into Chappelle, fall back asleep.
That was the best, because I to me it was all one congruent thing, but I would be like, oh man, I can't stand it. There's always, and then fall asleep against the window in the back. And then you guys would just be like, I guess he's gonna take a nap. And I have no idea how long those little like pass outs lasted.
Yeah.
But 5 minutes later I'd wake up and be like, can't stand when they look at me like that. I can't stand.
I mean, you'd probably been drinking for 14 hours.
Oh,
11 to 11, something like that. That's 12.
Oh God.
So maybe 15, 16 even.
Like in
that's
a
crazy.
true state of psychosis.
Yeah. And we made it to the movie. We probably all fell asleep except for Jason during the movie. I remember looking over at one point, and the three of you were all asleep, and Jason and I were just laughing. But then I probably fell asleep right after that. At one point, I'm sure Jason was just surrounded by 3 passed out drunk people.
We were the worst moviegoers because
God.
It was pretty boring, so we fell asleep.
Yeah, we did not. It got so much praise, and we liked everybody involved, but we did not like the movie.
When Will Ferrell's scene happened, I remember you going, finally!
Yeah, we were yelling out lines before they happened. Like, we were guessing what they were going to say.
Yeah.
So we were not blown away. And then, yeah, like, I was just so relieved that maybe something funny was going to happen. It's funny because I haven't seen it since, and people still do think it's funny. So there's a part of me, it's like, were we just really tired or frustrated?
I had that same thought, and then I went back and watched it. And I think what turned me off the first time, thus falling asleep, is the same that I watched it on a totally sober viewing years later, was...
Yeah.
Everything's like this rule, dude. Crashers rule 237. What is it? And then
wow.
like they would know it. Oh right, don't pass up free hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. It still bothers me.
They're probably trying to make it like Swingers, but with like a more I don't like anyway. Well, that was pretty much our adventure. Is there anything sticking out that you remember that we passed on? It would be so fun if we had the other members here to like.
Yeah.
It'd be funny to like. God, here's a podcast idea. A group like that where you just each person individually is interviewed about a story and they give their take and then you piece it all together.
Yeah, I think that there would be some fascinating additions.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, you're completely forgetting.
Yeah. And also debates on like that didn't two people might say yes. And
well,
the other
stay
two
tuned.
no.
Maybe there will be a part 2.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. If you can get one of the other 2 parties to listen to this and add something.
Oh, right.
No need to edit the ridiculous part.
Sure. Okay.
Because that'll add to the intrigue. Maybe they'll remember it differently and or they'll be like, remove me completely from this story. I'm an adult now.
Oh, well, that was wacky.
Oh! Well, let's save this for next time, but remind me, I thought of a story I can't believe hasn't like jumped to the front of our like, oh, we need a story that we can share.
Oh, wow. So you got another one.
I got another one.
All right. I'll remind you of that. All right, buddy. Wow. That was crazy. We got to do this more. We need to dig through my pictures and videos. We got so many. That could be its own podcast. We just dissect these crazy videos and then release them, although no one would allow us to do
I
that.
really wish there was a period where we did one of these nights and then we went up to Mount Bonnell and
Oh,
we
yeah.
sat up there as the sun was coming up.
Yep.
And then CM got all these great photos. And those are they disappeared. Her laptop
Oh,
disintegrated, and so those are no longer around. But those are photos that she was just really capturing what it felt like at that period to be alive.
no. Right.
Like it would be like an indie band cover album or cover art kind of look.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we were trying to look cool and look off in the distance. We were genuinely just looking at stuff, and she was getting photos.
Oh, wow.
But with the lighting and man, I really wish these existed.
Well, now shifting over to sports. I don't know if you're following the NBA at all, but the Battle of LA happened. The Lakers played
I saw the
Bucks
fourth
and
quarter.
Clippers. Oh yeah. Man, it was worth the billing, worth the build up.
Yeah.
But the Lakers took down both over the weekend. It was crazy. Like a week ago, LeBron catching up to Giannis for MVP, ridiculous, and now everybody's like, he might do it after one weekend of basketball.
I mean, if you could have Chris Middleton or Anthony Davis,
Right.
And to his credit, though, LeBron is not making Anthony Davis into Chris Bosh 2.0 or something.
Sure.
They really work well together, and that's kind
Yeah.
of fun to see. I thought he and D Wade worked well together, but they were kind of like two guards, and now this one, it's an interesting pairing.
Yeah.
I could see him winning because he has made that team great. He just deserved it in so many other years. If he got it this year, I think it would be like a tip of the cap to
Sure.
those other teams were awful, and he
Yeah,
brought
he
them
and
along.
Jordan both had you're so good, we can't give it to you every year, so we're going to spread it around a little bit. That's got to be a weird thing. But regarding the game, Skip Bayless said it didn't count because Avery Bradley went off. I don't know what that really means. I think he was like, LeBron was good, but Avery Bradley had this anomaly game, so doesn't count. I don't know what the math is on that. I don't know if you know this, but team sports, more than one person has to score in order to win. So that didn't.
Yeah,
really,
that's such a non-sports person.
doesn't that sound like it sounds. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's not an analyst. He's clearly just a fanboy that has this gig. Because who else during games what other analyst just talk shit on LeBron or whoever? He's literally the only person in the sports world because he's not an analyst. He's just a crazy person. He also said that they didn't want to go, the Clippers, part of the reason they lost, they didn't want to go 4-0 because deep down it would affect their momentum going into the playoffs because
Absolutely.
it could swing the other way. What does that mean? That again sounds like a child logic of if we do that then they're gonna go the other way. That doesn't make any sense. So you just tank a game on purpose.
I mean, if you had to rank the most asinine takes, that'd be difficult. That's a really...
Both of those would be about the same game. Avery Bradley did well. There's always somebody that pops off every game. There's somebody off the bench or whatever that has a good game that's you're not expecting necessarily.
The 73-9 Warriors and the 72-10 Bulls were kind of, in my limited sort of... I've watched a lot of basketball, but as far as knowing statistically, but they just felt to me like the only teams that could sweep teams and or not lose twice to the same team.
Mm-hmm.
That Golden State team that year, every loss virtually was to a team that was below 500. It was like when they let off the gas pedal. But when teams that they had beaten 3 times were like, okay, this time we'll get them, then they would still squash them. That's why they were such an unbelievable team, because it just doesn't happen. It's the NBA. Right. You're not going to sweep a team that's like a playoff team, top of the conference. So that to me is the larger overall part of it. Is just LeBron was a part of it. Anthony Davis was a part of it. The Clippers playing at home and having won 6 straight. It seems like the momentum's there, but it's not the playoffs. And we played this team when I was in high school. We played a team that beat us by 50 points, and the 49, 50th, and 51st points came on a last-second half-court, just I guess I'll throw it up.
Whoa.
It was such a dick move. We were all like, hey, come on. You're all 48 already. You don't shoot that shot.
Yeah.
So we hated them.
Yeah.
But it's also like trying to fight someone that's 50 pounds bigger and has a 1 foot longer reach. And you're like, next time I'll get you.
Yeah.
And then we geared up and we played them later in the season, and they started their backups against us. And at halftime, we were like, we're in this thing.
Wow, yeah.
And then they put in their starters for like 5 minutes, and we were down 20. And the NBA is not like that. If you beat a team by 40 and then they go, we should try harder next time, they will likely win the next time.
Right,
It's just that type of league. So Skip is an idiot.
After seeing this, I did get very excited for the playoffs. Like, it's going to be, and there's like the Rockets and other teams that are going to put up some fun. No, they're not going to win, but it's going to make it fun. Like, the West is going to be hard to get through. Milwaukee and Toronto can kind of blaze through, but the West, you're going to get beat up a little along the way. But
it feels like in years past, though, 1 through 8 were kind of formidable. Like, boy, the Spurs at 6, you don't want to play them. And now it just sort of feels like Portland's down this year.
Yeah.
You know, the Houston team.
Yeah, but it's at least it's going to be a fun 7-8 seed. Might be like Dallas and say like Luka and Zion or something.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. It'll be a
That's
cool
true.
first round story or whatever.
That's true. Who are you rooting for?
I'm going. Well, I'm always Dallas, but I don't think they're going to do it. For the sake of the podcast, it'd be fun for LeBron to win just to shut Skip Bayless up. But
I don't want the Lakers to win. And there's an additional part to that, but some of that has to do with Kobe sexual assault, and some of it has to do with just like they've won enough. I don't like when guys come over to make a switch and win right away. Like a super team. They're kind of one of the few teams that feels like a super team.
Sure.
Even though they have two.
But, I mean, the Clippers are that, too.
That's true,
with
yeah.
Paul George. So
that's why, but
they'd be ruled out.
Who can name the starting 5 of the Bucks?
Right, yeah. Littleton and, I couldn't even name a third guy.
Last year I could have said Lopez. I don't think he's on the team anymore.
Yeah, damn it. I just thought of someone, and that name is gone. By the way, our dogs are wrestling in the background.
Yeah,
if you
they're
didn't
going
hear
nuts.
that. My younger brother was on last week, and I can't believe I'd never done this, but it makes sense right about now. He was like, you should look up Skip's Wikipedia. And what's my favorite part of it? One, his dad called him Skip and his mother Skip, and it stuck, and they never called him by his real name, which I think they said is John. So Skip.
So he grew up in a household where it was like, "What's for dinner, Skip? Hey, Skip, how was school?"
Yeah. and then he legally changed his name to Skip, which is fucking makes this psychotic, breakdown even crazier. But then one thing that stuck out, my favorite part on the whole Wiki page, and it said that he is best known for criticizing LeBron James. Can you imagine that? That's your whole thing. The main thing you're known for is saying someone that's really good at what they do is not good at what they do.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. So basically, it's just saying he's a crazy person. That's fun. It's just weird. Like he wins the game. Skip says, Avery Bradley went off. It's not LeBron's doing, and LeBron had a good game, but it's just weird that it's just coincidence every time any team with LeBron wins. Just pure, everything lined up for him. It's never give that guy a little bit of credit. Well, let's shift over to the NFL. There's these rumors about Tom Brady and the Niners.
Oh yeah.
Well, how do you feel like with that? I've had the Cowboys been linked to Brady as well, and my thoughts on that. I hate Brady as a human and a player, but I don't love Dak, so it could be a nice way to kind of get out of his contract and kind of get away, like Peyton Manning with Tim Tebow, nice sidestep for people that argued to keep Tebow, but that said, I would fucking hate it. But what are your thoughts? Would you rather have that or keep it? Do you not like Jimmy G, or how do you feel about all that?
I'll try. Let me just posit or throw out an idea that you might like.
Yeah. I pause it because he said, let me throw something at you. I thought he meant literally like timeout.
No, I meant
not
to get too off topic. I will say I have a quick thing about the Brady Garoppolo thing. But during the Kaepernick, Russell Wilson early years where it looked like they've got a decade of being formidable, and wow, they're really early on in their rookie deals. They've got them cheap but they were already competing at a high, and you see that happening. Like when the clock is ticking. Okay, we hit on someone. Great.
Yeah.
Goff got us to a Super Bowl before we had to sign him to a mega deal.
Right.
And then when you look at all the guys, Breeze won Super Bowl, Rodgers won Super Bowl. They sign a big deal, and now the team is so hamstrung, but they are the face of the franchise. So you can put them on all the stuff. The fans come in like, come on, Rivers, we love ya. And finally they have to cut bait and realize, like, I think we'd be better off with a middle-of-the-road quarterback and a decent offensive line.
Well, and that's why I don't want Dak, a middle-of-the-road quarterback, that also hamstrings us.
So I would love to see a team come out and be like, we hit on him in the 4th round.
Yeah.
If we had kept drafting guys in the 4th round every year, we'd likely have another one that's at this. You at some point, if you're that good and you're getting paid that little, that means the rest of your team is decent.
Yeah.
You can blame Jason Garrett. You can blame the defensive coordinators. But at some point, if I'm running the ship, I go, maybe this is a novel idea. Maybe we try to win. We get us the fans above all else love winning, right?
Yeah.
But say you win one, and then you go, would you take a deal for $22 million? That's low end now, but you're gonna have generational wealth.
Right.
And if a guy goes, I think I can get like 35 out there. Great luck. Go get him. You send him out, and then you draft someone new. You potentially re-up your defense, your lines.
Yeah.
You win another one. The fan base goes, okay, I miss so and so, but now I'm all in this new
Why
guy.
don't the owners just stick to a thing like that? Where you just kind of set the precedent and make it happen.
Because they got so lucky with that with Brady, which people would say like, oh, well, they were funneling him money through like using endorsements that were geared toward TB12. So they could pay him kind of off the books, so to speak. And everyone would go, well, but Giselle makes so much money. Yeah, but he didn't take a ton of endorsement deals outside of that. I think when we look back at this era, like it was utter dominance, we'll also go, yeah, but he just understood the salary cap structure so well. By taking $6 million less per year, it allowed them to pay an extra safety or a
Sorry,
guard.
our dogs are running around the table. I've never seen this. They're playing tag. It's not entertaining for you at home, but
this is so
boy,
great for
is this
him
great.
because he's wanted nothing else all night. And like, why won't you chase me?
This is so great.
It's getting really competitive.
Anywho.
The Garoppolo Brady thing, kind of a sweetheart deal from Belichick, dealing with all this stuff from, at least if we're believing the rumors, which were, hey, whoa, guys.
Hey.
Be buddies.
Play nice.
The rumors were, that barking works. You got it, though.
Sorry.
The rumors were Brady's not happy, sort of being challenged, or this idea of like an heir apparent.
Yeah.
How's the sound quality over there?
Yeah, this is madness. This is insane, but boy, do they love that ball. Oh, boy. I have no idea.
I can hear it with my naked ear. I'm not wearing headphones.
Right.
Trying to imagine what it sounds like.
It's a lot. Sorry, guys. We refuse to not let the dogs
He's
have
just
fun.
dragging her.
My dog is being dragged by his dog. My dog just plays dead. It's the smartest move. It's all she knows to do. Oh, man. So anyway, Brady, Garoppolo, what's happening?
Welcome to Dog Chat. We just recap what's happening in dog fights. Audio, no video.
Yeah. Just the worst podcast of all time.
You know what I love about Dog Chat is you can hear everything. So it's like a real theater of the mind. You hear a lot of scratching of toenails on wooden floors. You can't hear the dog being dragged.
Oh, my God.
That's great. Anyway, sweetheart of a deal comes from Belichick being like, look, Kraft is giving me business. I should be trusted at this point. I found a kid in the 2nd round. He's primed to step in when Brady, by all accounts, should retire.
Yeah.
I was very delicate on that. I said, dude, we'll keep you till you're 40. That's still outpacing virtually every other star of your ilk. And you could argue there are none. No one has 6 rings.
Right.
So you're entitled to maybe 2-3 bonus years beyond that. So maybe that is Belichick being a little ahead of the horse or ahead of the cart. Should have potentially gotten Brady minimum to 42, which he's at now, and then bring in your Garoppolo. But anyway, the sweetheart of a deal is like, hey, we straight up 2nd round pick, and the Niners can't respond fast enough. Like, yes, we'll take him.
Yeah.
But they know this is pretty nice. This is a pretty sweet deal that this guy gave us. it's a non-zero sort of engagement, but it's going to be a zero-sum game in the end, meaning Belichick has a favor that we owe him.
Right.
Now, what this says to me is that Belichick wants there to be a market for Brady. There isn't one yet.
Yeah.
There's rumors the Raiders like him. This team likes him. But when it goes in heavy, when the Niners engage, and that could have been Brady's team reaching out. I mean, like, he grew up there. He was at the catch. He saw Dwight Clark make that catch. He loves the Niners. It would be a perfect way to close out his career. And the Niners go, we owe it to Belichick to drive up this market. So let's get the word out there. But internally, they know, like, there's no chance. There's no way we're switching to this dude.
Yeah.
So to me, it would be unfathomable. It would be something where I would be like,
well, what would you, Jimmy G or Brady right now?
Jimmy G.
Yeah, that's what
And,
I think it's.
And I don't love him. I don't know that he has it to do it, but the team loves him. The locker room loves him.
Easily could have won that Super Bowl with Jimmy G. So why would you go to an older quarterback that, especially against like, Seattle? Like, he's going to get beat to hell, during the regular season.
I mean, look at the Super Bowl. And you go, yeah, like, things were tough at the end. A lot of that comes to Shanahan and not running great. There was some questionable I don't want to blame it. I do not blame that game on the refs at all.
Sure,
but there were some weird things that happened toward the end. You're like, oh, that was how do they miss that offside? That could have easily
gone the other way.
Yeah. I mean, the guy jumping off sides where Shanahan's just irate. Like, how do you miss that? He's over the center. How do you miss that?
Yeah.
So that's one where he thought he had a free play and it wasn't. That was a weird one. Those are not plays that fall on Garoppolo. That's just a weird one where, like, oh, there's a little glitch in the game. The throw to Sanders at the end that he overthrew by a mile. Does Brady make that throw? I don't think we've seen that in 3 years from him. Yeah. So that's, to me, the biggest window you could look at. Like, Brady, he's the best. Does he make that throw?
Right.
That's really the only throw you could point to that Garoppolo was substandard by all measures.
And although, Buffalo came along, the NFC West versus the AFC East and NFC versus AFC in general, I feel like.
They got beat by a team this year with Brady that everyone said was tanking for Tua at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
That it was a free victory in the NFL. That never happens.
Yeah.
And Brian Flores, I hope he's great this year.
Yeah.
That dude kept that locker room together, got him to win 5 games with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
They easily
and nobody
could have tanked, and they got out of the first pick. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Skip's thoughts on that game, by the way, was that that was all the defense's fault, Belichick's fault, which is crazy because I think they only gave up 17 points. That's enough for a Hall of Fame quarterback to win the fight. He threw a fucking pick 6. That's crazy.
He was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, he if you really watch breakdowns of his game, McDaniels, who it's crazy he comes up in head coaching talks, but he really is good at scheming. Like, if I'm running at you and I'm a shifty kind of slot guy, you don't really know, am I running an out? So your defensive coverage, like, I have help to my inside, so I'm going to play a little outside shade, hope that this guy breaks inside, and then Edelman gets you on your heels and does something else.
He does what?
He does like a little and then you go, man, they're just beating him with 5-yard passes repeatedly. And Brady is masterful. He's really accurate. He's great at those. The Dolphins just sat on those. They were like, all right, man, try a double move. Try anything beyond this. It won't work. And that might have been, like when they felt like Jared Goff and Sean McVay's kind of like 3-wheel circus or whatever they were calling it, the new greatest show on turf, got slowed by Belichick. And then suddenly this year they were a shell of themselves. Yeah. It was because, like, oh, everyone got the blueprint. I feel like other teams watching that Dolphins game were like, oh, those are Brady's weaknesses, and they clamped him down. We'll see. And but I think that's why his market's not real high right now.
Yeah. God bless Ryan Fitzpatrick, by the way.
Yeah.
God, that guy's racked up some cash. Man, one quarterback not being thrown into the ring with the carousel this offseason, which is like the craziest quarterback carousel we've ever seen. Sam Bradford's still somewhere out there. He's going to get a $200 million contract.
Poor Sam.
Yeah, poor Sam. He's like the richest guy in the NFL, probably.
I was like, Barry Bonds was saying the other day, that he got the death sentence from Major League Baseball. He's not invited to things. He's not welcome at things. He's like, I'm just in this big empty house, just like rattling around like a ghost. Oof. And you're like, you deserve that. You cheated. Sam Bradford is, I would guess, hopefully beloved by his teammates. He didn't cheat. He did shit
Yeah.
the right way. Everyone seemed to like him. But because he made so much money and did so poorly, which was not always his fault, you could see why teams would sign him. You would look and be like, man, this dude came in and picked up his 8th system in 8 years,
Yeah.
played pretty well, totally immobile, blew out both of his knees. If he was on like a $6 million deal, if he was on like the Ryan Fitzpatrick, like no one would say Ryan Fitzpatrick has made way too much money.
Right.
But Bradford signed deals for so much money that people started to hate him.
Yeah.
To just be like, you don't deserve any of it. But I watched him with the Rams when they were playing the night. He had Jeff Fisher. I mean, he had the worst
yeah.
coaching staff in the world. If he had been groomed right, he would still be playing and he would be at a level, not to say like Drew Brees
He'd
or
be
something,
serviceable.
but he
Yeah.
was so accurate and
He could be
so
like
good.
an Alex Smith.
Yeah, he's not as mobile. He had little spindly ass legs.
Spindly ass.
Little spindly ass. Who's like a tall, immobile person that plays quarterback well that's stuck around for a long time?
Roethlisberger? He's a
Yeah,
little
he's
mobile.
huge. He's
Yeah.
mobile. He's like a Cam Newton size.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of dudes that are. He kind of had like a Ryan Tannehill build, but Tannehill's pretty athletic.
Oh, it'd be crazy to see what Tannehill does this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And if he goes somewhere else, it's going to be like Nick Foles, and he just can't do it the same way. Okay, I had this thought, this little exercise. Think about the quarterback change this offseason is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I have a scenario.
Okay.
Check this out.
Lay it on me.
Yeah, because I read this article on like the Tom Brady dominoes. You know, like so many teams are affected because there's the franchise tag deadline and free agency deadline, and then the draft. So there's all these little things that
You got Bridgewater floating out there. You've got Phillip
Yeah.
Rivers floating out there. You got your guy Tannehill floating out there. Maybe Dak floating out there.
And then there's even like the lesser, like Case Keenum, and you know, like who like any other offseason, like people be clamoring to get as a backup or whatever. But it's a lot. And Brissett, like where's Brissett gonna go? You know.
Yeah.
But here's my theory, because Brady's been linked to every team, and everybody can fight any which way as to where he goes. But here's what I heard. Brady's gonna go to. This is what I think is gonna happen. He's gonna go to the Buccaneers and chuck everybody, and then
Arians deep ball offense.
Yeah. Arians deep ball offense. And then Winston, therefore, will go to the Raiders. The Raiders will get rid of Carr. He'll go to the Cowboys. Dak to the Patriots. Tannehill will be butthurt because all the flirting with Brady. So then he goes to San Francisco. They get rid of Jimmy G. Jimmy G goes to Chicago. Trubisky, because
Wait. Back up a sec. Who
Yeah.
did the Niners get?
the Niners get Tannehill.
All right.
And then Trubisky, because Denver, Elway's such a bad GM, Trubisky goes to Denver. Locke gets upset. He goes to Carolina for some reason. Then Newton is just, fuck this place. He goes to Cleveland because they're like, he's a much better quarterback than Baker. Baker gets busted in the offseason doing something stupid. That's why Newton goes there. Then Mayfield goes to New Orleans because Peyton is like chomping at the bit to play with a younger quarterback. Breeze, of course, takes offense to this. He goes to the Rams because they have a Super Bowl window. He's better than Goff. Goff goes to Pittsburgh because they're tired of Big Ben's shit. Big Ben goes to Jacksonville because they think he's a step up over Minshew, who goes to then to maximize the window because he's younger and has the smaller contract. He goes to Minnesota. Cousins is out. He goes to Indy. Brissett goes to Cincinnati because they're terrible at everything, and he's cheaper and they're cheapskates. So then Burrow gets drafted by Arizona. Because what's his name does the what he did with Rosen the year before. Murray goes to Seattle because he's a younger Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson to the Giants. Daniel Jones to Atlanta because he's a younger option. Matt Ryan goes to the Jets. Darnold then goes to Philly because he doesn't have the injury issues that Wentz has. Green Bay's excited by Wentz being available. Rodgers is out. He goes to Buffalo. Josh Allen then goes to Washington. Haskins goes to Miami. Detroit trades up for Tua. That means Stafford to the Chargers. And then after all this, Casey hits a contract stalemate with Mahomes, who becomes available after all this. So then they do an even swap for Lamar Jackson. And then the only person that's left is Deshaun Watson on Houston, who panics because he doesn't know what's going on anymore and he retires. So that's what I think is going to happen.
The last domino is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
He retired. I would just like to say that it is early March. It's around 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if this all works out, I'd like the metadata from this podcast to be submitted so that Doug is eligible for some sort of compensation. Because then you can't really, I mean, what was this parlay? It's really 32-team parlay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if you hit on all of them, which it seems likely,
Yeah.
you should be
for sure.
compensated.
It's just like I just did that because it was just so funny. You see, like, everybody's linked to every team, and every analyst for every team is like, this is a done deal. Brady is going to the Buccaneers, which there's no way that is one of the teams he's linked to. There's no fucking way he's going there. At one point, the Giants, are you fucking kidding me? He's 42. He wants to go to like one of the worst teams in the NFL. Go fuck yourself.
You know what that did make me think of, though? Matt Ryan. That's who has a similar build and style. And I think Sam Bradford, with a more consistent coaching staff, would have been better.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that is weird. There are so many quarterbacks that flamed out that maybe were great that just didn't have a good system. They had think about. Well, that's a bad example because Baker did well under what's his butt that just got fired. But there's just so many coaches that were not good coaches. It's not a good environment for him, or they had no help. Carr's brother that got beat the fuck out of Houston, like, he might have been good, but he got sacked every other play and was just destroyed. That'll screw up your confidence. But by the way, how crazy it would be if Brady, outside of Belichick's system, if he were to go to another team, he just becomes a complete maniac. Like he's a problem child, just like egotistical.
Well, Montana was trying to give him advice to say, like, no one really cares in other locker rooms what you've accomplished. You think they do, and maybe it's different with 4 rings for Joe Montana and 6 for Brady. But you come in there and people are like, yo, man, I got to feed my family. I'm not going to like bow down to you because of what you did.
Yeah.
We're all believing in each other. We're all working hard. And it's be the first time. I mean, he learned Charlie Weiss's system, but he's been in McDaniels forever.
Yeah.
So that's when he talks about like challenges. I want to challenge. What's a new challenge? I think it's when you're playing a video game for a long time and you're like, I can come pretty close to beating this all the time on the max super high level. But I'm always this one character.
Yeah.
And then you switch cars or you switch characters or whatever it is in the game.
You're playing your own game within the game.
Yeah. And I think he's really, if he wins with another team, learning a new offensive system, then it will be undoubted. And I think that's why LeBron leaves and kind of goes to other places to like try to chase that thing. Like, how can I show I'm better than Jordan? If I win 3 rings with 3 different teams, is that better than him winning 6?
Yeah, I think both Belichick and Brady are kind of at that point. They both want to test it, but it's also like they know they have the perfect thing.
Yeah.
Belichick can just keep fucking coaching. You know, you can coach longer than you can play.
Yeah.
So he could still do this after Brady is gone. That's where he has the advantage. And even now, Brady also knows, like, at 42, he was already declining. He has to learn a new system.
Yeah.
He's for sure going to be, if he moves any which way, he's going to be in a harder division. At that age, he can't fucking run out of the pocket. He never could, but it's even worse now. Like, is it worth it to gamble at this point? But if he does win, like you're saying, it's undoubtedly you're the best. But
he won't. The chances, I think, are less than 1%.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And with Belichick, we've said it before, the best at winning, likely also
cheating.
I'll say the best at cheating.
Yeah.
Oh, they've only been caught, 2 or 3 times at cheating?
Yeah.
Out of how many? 2 or 3? Yeah. Highly unlikely.
Yeah, exactly.
So they cheat a lot. They only got caught a few times. But on to spin them in the positive light, he won without a Tom Brady at MVP Tom Brady level. Like, he was doing okay with Bledsoe. Would he have gotten over the hill? Who knows? But he won with a 23-year-old Brady who was not the Brady that he is now. So everyone thinks like, oh, he only won with Brady, who's the greatest Brady. No, that's not true at all. He won with a guy that was 23-year-old Tom Brady who was decent, but not nearly what he became 6 years later.
And went 11-5 with Matt Castle, who was terrible everywhere else.
Right. So if we're looking at it that way of like when one leaves, if you had to bet who's going to have the better record with their new team.
There's already proof that Belichick has done it. Yeah. How do you feel about, I don't know if you've seen this, but there are rumors out there that I guess Brady liked or retweeted an Antonio Brown tweet. And there's been stuff before this that they're in cahoots to like team up somewhere.
When has that ever worked out?
Yeah, and I just don't think he's gonna play next year. Like, he can't. He's gonna have at least an 8-game suspension.
Yeah,
there's no way it's minimal. And during that 8 games, which is how many months away are we? We're already months and months and months away from the season starting. Then many months until his suspension is up, maybe an entire year. We might be looking at a year and a half before he comes back, possibly at the worst case. Do you think in that year and a half he's going to behave himself and be fucking normal and then not get further suspended?
He's out of my thought process. I just don't see him keeping it together at all.
Yeah, there's just
I
no
think the
fucking
reason
way.
he liked that thing was, I think Brady views himself in the same way. Like Kobe didn't. In my outside view of it, there was this video of Kobe when the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like he played high school basketball there.
Yeah.
And his hometown team, I mean, he grew up in Italy, but the team he latched onto, the Eagles, is playing in the Super Bowl. His wife is filming him, Skip Bayless style, alone in his house with a baby, going, yes, oh my God, we won the Super Bowl, yes.
Yeah.
I get it, you don't want to have a loud party, but you don't have a single friend that comes over to root for your team with you. You don't have a high school Philly friend that's like, yeah, man, I know you got kids, I do too.
Wait, this Brady?
No, this was Kobe.
Oh, Kobe.
So this video went kind of viral of like, man, look how excited Kobe was. But he's alone.
Yeah.
He's watching his team win the Super Bowl with no friends around.
Wow.
And you could be like, well, he had an infant. He had a little kid. Like, people have done that before. People have had their friends over and had a quiet gathering.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe he didn't have close friends. And I think Brady has people that like him and friends he'll go to like the Kentucky Derby with.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, he prides himself on being like an inspiration or like a mentor.
Right.
And I think with Antonio Brown, he's like, I'm liking your tweet because I want you to know I believe in you. I care about you. I think that's it.
Yeah, that guy could use some support. As much as I make fun of him, like, it's kind of sad. Like, that guy's got to get some fucking help or he's going to fucking kill himself or kill somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. This I have to play for you. I specifically thought of you, but I didn't want to send it in case you were on the podcast. But
thanks,
boy,
buddy.
Doug Gottlieb, I didn't know how horrible he was, but he filled in for Colin Cowherd. And
Didn't he steal a bunch of laptops in college or something? Is that his thing?
Doug Gottlieb?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Credit card fraud, something like that. Every time he
Wow.
gets in the news, people are like, shut up, Doug Gottlieb.
He's horrible, and but he did this like 4 times within like a 5-minute segment. His impression of Montgomery Burns, and he thinks he's funny, and here it is. Here we go.
Somewhere in a palatial estate, after getting off the plane early in the morning, coming back from Houston to Steve Ballmer, looking like Montgomery Burns. Excellent.
That was the best of the 4 impressions, and it wasn't great. But I wish I should have recorded one of the other ones.
It reminds me of on The Simpsons when they were making fun of like stand-up comedians who go, what if Mr. T was E.T.? It might go a little something like this. I pity the fool that doesn't phone home. Yeah. Like, you're just setting up an impression. And it might go a little something like this.
Yeah, the way he set it up is so bad. And to do it like 4 or 5 times in a few minutes, he just thought, man, this is good.
Yeah.
And seriously, that was by far the best of them. Like the others were just like, he's like, excellent, or what.
I love that he crushes down on the S's, so it's excellent.
It's like, have you watched that show? Like, do you know who you're even referencing? That was fun. Well, it's the time of the podcast where we start a rumor about Skip Bayless. If you want to jump in, if not, I can just ride this. I got a short one this week. I heard on the streets that Skip Bayless actually wrote Baby Shark, that song, that annoying song. He wanted to write a song that made people feel the way that they should feel when they listen to him give sports analysis. And that's what Baby Shark is.
Oh, man.
So anytime you hear that and you're like, fuck this song, you can blame him. There you go.
I heard that there was photos going around of this one this week. I don't know if you saw them. I assume you would, if anyone. I don't know how I heard this rumor without hearing it from you, but this week he on his penis got went in to get tattooed Ladong, and then they got to the G and didn't quite have the space, so it just kind of looks like Ladon and then like a half a 3 backwards kind of thing, and then that photo was evidently going around by the tattoo artist.
Wow.
But I didn't screenshot it or anything. So if you have it, let me know. Or if that was just a silly rumor.
Wow, man. It's 2 for 2. penis tattoos. The last
I hear a lot of weird rumors, man.
hear a lot of penis tattoo rumors, buddy.
The other one was his ball sack.
Oh yeah, that's right. Troy
I mean,
Aikman, I believe.
I feel like that's
Oh yeah, somebody
his
else.
area.
What's funny? Maybe they heard it and somebody panicked and did a rumor about a Nazi swastika tattoo on the tip of his penis.
Oh,
So-
jeez.
yeah. So there's a lot of these days for some reason. Before you go, anything you want to throw out there? You want to plug or whatnot?
Wash your hands. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Please don't read too much into our drunken stories. We were younger, less refined gentlemen at that point.
Yeah. Be careful out there. Don't be idiots.
Yeah.
Are there
Check out my thing, One-Headed Beast, on Amazon Prime or Roku channel if you want to watch animated stand-up comedy.
There you go. And I'll tease it, and then I can edit this out if you don't want it out there. But because we haven't formulated the plan yet, but we're talking about maybe doing a little
Yeah. June.
some June road trip, road dates together, like a handful in the Midwest-ish. So we'll give you more details as that formulates. And got some other shows coming up, but I'll be doing an EP recording at the Secret Group in Houston, Texas on May 29th. You're going to hear some crazy tales from Thailand. It's going to be nuts. And I have to write that between now and then, but it's going to happen. But thanks for being on, dude. Always fun.
Of course, buddy.
And we'll try to put together more of that puzzle from that story, see what we can do. And in the meantime, we're going to rage the rest of the night until we have another crazy story. Tune in next week. Thanks. Later.
In front of a live studio audience presented by Hormel Chili Radio Productions.